It feels like we've been waiting for years and years for these new iPads to release, and yet there's been nothing. I keep spamming Apple Newsroom every morning violently, but Tim still has not decided to make us happy with some new shiny iPads. And so just when I was going to completely give up hope on anything releasing, we have case listings. Finally, a sign from the Apple gods, we're getting something soon. Let's delve in. So yes, many have noticed on Amazon a few case listings have popped up for the new iPad Air and iPad Pro, and they come from ESI, of course, are not some tiny irrelevant case manufacturer. These guys are massive and very much legit, and so the fact they're dropping case listings right now is very much a sign these iPads could be out soon. Now, yes, I am aware these case manufacturers don't get information directly from Apple, but they do likely have very good sources within the supply chain. And so yeah, these case listings are not dropping on Amazon because they asked the fortune teller next door when they think the new iPads are going to release. There are sources behind this, and the information is somewhat legit. Now, the cases themselves don't really show us anything too special. They look like regular iPad cases for the most part, but there is one thing to note. Number one, the iPad Air case has a larger camera bump similar to the one on the iPad Pro. Now, I'm thinking ESI is being a little lazy here, and they're just reusing existing 12.9-inch iPad Pro case images they had lying around for this listing, because we know the Air is going to feature a slightly different camera design, but it should only still have one sensor on the back, so it makes no sense for the Air to have a square camera bump design. The next thing to note are the size options mentioned. So the larger iPad Pro is still quoted to be 12.9 inches, which goes against the rumors stating it would be 13 inches. And also, to add to the confusion, some case listings have mentioned the larger iPad Air would be 13 inches instead. Now, you may be wondering, it makes no sense for the Air to be larger than the Pro, right? Well, I think ESR might be right. Partly. Like I said, ESR and every case manufacturer on the planet does not get early intel on these products from Apple. They just have to base things off CADs and the information they get from sources, and so I have a feeling ESR's seen the CADs of the new iPad Air and Pro and thought, hey, the Air is larger, so it must have a bigger display, right? Now, if you're wondering why the Air CADs are larger, it's because the iPad Pro are getting thinner bezels, so even if it does go up to 13 inches, the physical footprint should still be smaller than the 12.9-inch Air because it has much thinner bezels. The case listings for the iPad Pro do mention the Pros are getting more compact, though even the quoted dimensions do seem a little iffy. So basically, guys, take every detail they've mentioned with a massive grain of salt. I am very sure once these iPads are official, a lot of these details are going to change, and most of these are placeholders. Really, the only key thing about these listings that's worth making note of is the date mentioned. ESR plans to release these cases on the 26th of March, which at the time of filming is next week, so that does line up with what Gurman told us. He had mentioned Apple's preparing a special build of iPadOS 17.4 for these iPads, and so as a result, the release would be a little later during the end of March or early April. Now, Gurman obviously won't give us a precise date because he's Mr. Vague after all, but thanks to ESR, we do now have a possible date. I guess this could also rule out the possibility of an event which I really thought was going to happen. If these iPads are releasing next week, we should have got invites by now, but spoiler alert, we still don't have any invites. So I guess we're getting press releases, which does suck, but then again, at this point, I can't lie, I just don't care how they release these new iPads. I just want to stop talking about them as rumored products, so please Apple, hurry up, everyone is waiting. Ideally, I'm praying we see press releases drop this week for the new iPads, and maybe we can pre-order them a week before on March 19, but they ship on March 26. Though I do want to mention there has been talk about the iPad Pro OLED having supply constraints, particularly with the 11-inch size, so it's possible 26th is the pre-order date, and they release it to the public sometime during April. Now, in case you somehow still don't know what to expect from these iPads, let me summarize everything once again for the 145th time. Now, I know there was a comment from one of you guys saying, I sound like a broken record mentioning the same leaks about these iPads for 2 months straight, but guess what? There's really nothing else we've heard about these iPads in the last few weeks. I feel like we've had a good idea about what to expect for a while now, and we're just scrambling all over the place trying to figure out when Apple's actually going to release these bloody iPads. But anyways, let's get into the specs quickly once again. Beginning with the iPad Air, this will be a very typical spec refresh for the most part. It's going from Apple M1 to Apple M2, which will give you slightly better performance. That's going to be completely wasted on iPadOS anyways. We're also getting a new camera module just to make this look slightly different from the last model so that Apple can call it a new design, and likely it's also going to get Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 supports like recent Apple refreshes. So what's so cool about this new refresh, you may ask? Well, that's of course the larger size. In theory, launching a 12.9-inch Air does make a lot of sense because I am sure there is a decent chunk of consumers who want the big display experience the iPad Pro offers, but without the massive price tag, and so I can understand why some are excited. But like I've mentioned many times on this channel, this won't exactly be a cheap iPad. You see, based on the fact the 12.9-inch Pro used to be $200 more when it was using LCD like the 11-inch, there is a strong possibility the 12.9-inch Air starts at $799, which is very much iPad Pro territory. That's how much the 11-inch goes for right now, and yes, I know the upcoming Pros are getting more expensive, but it's still a tough pill to swallow. This will be a 60Hz LCD iPad for $800, and so I really don't see the point in this. I mean, you can go on Apple's refurbished site right now, and you will find the M1 iPad Pro for around this price, and remember that will get cheaper once the M3 model launches, and also the M2 iPad Pro is eventually going to be on the refurb site, so why would you buy this? You know what you should be doing instead of buying a massive LCD iPad for $800? Subscribing to the channel, of course! I would greatly appreciate it, and would bring you the latest about Apple right to subscription box, so please consider it, it would be appreciated. We're trying to hit our next milestone of 16,000 subscribers, so join the Saranbyte gang now. Moving to more exciting news, we have the M3 iPad Pro. So this has been long rumored to be a radical upgrade for the Pros, considering they haven't changed much since the 2018 refresh. And the big upgrade is of course going to be OLED. This is something we're already familiar with on the iPhone and the Apple Watch, and it's going to give these iPads a ton of benefits, like increased brightness, higher contrast ratio, lower power consumption, and also LTPO tech so the display can go down to 10Hz to save battery life. Not only this, but as I said earlier, Apple's also using the same LiPo tech they used on the 15 Pro to shrink the bezels, and so the new sizes should be 11.1 inches and 13 inches. Obviously, we're also getting the typical spec update with this iPad, so it should have the new M3 chipset, which is going to be overkill for this iPad. There's also talk about MagSafe charging, which I'm pretty iffy on. I'd much rather have the Mac version of MagSafe. And also there's talk about a new Magic Keyboard with a larger trackpad, an aluminium top casing, as well as a 3rd generation Apple Pencil. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.